Welcome back to the Marathon series in depth. Before we continue our search for the Lost Fit clan, Durandal has us on a little side quest taking out one of the 4 garrisons on Low One. What About Bob is also the first level in the second chapter titled Volunteers. To start the chapter, Bungie shows us a short video of a moving image of the chapter screen. The image appears to be located in some sort of structure with lava inside. We will learn later on that the 4 garrison we are taking out in this level is actually an underground geothermal pumping station where we will see a lot of lava. I wonder if this is the central garrison's thermal station that the 4 science manager messaged in the last mission. Anyways, the image shows an enforcer with his 5 eyes holding a gun. Wait a minute, isn't the enforcer supposed to have 7 eyes? In the first Marathon game, you could not see all of the Forcer's eyes. However, they are easy to spot in the new sprite files for the Marathon sequels. I guess Craig Mullins didn't get the memo. Regardless, we don't see any Forcers on this level, which makes this image seem somewhat out of place. As the image scrolls to the right, it reveals the security officer holding one of the 4 fighter staffs in his hand, eager to whack the Enforcer and probably send him to his death in the lava. How cool is it that he has one of the 4 weapons? Too bad we can't use these sticks in game. Unless of course you try some of the fan-made content. Both of the Marathon 2 demos of the level show a completely different chapter screen that is actually used for a chapter later on titled Citadel. In the making of video, I shared a quote from Craig Mullins that explained that he took liberties in certain things and specifically mentioned the 4 staff. Basically, some of these things that aren't seen in game was done in the art to sort of push the envelope and make the world feel more real. We will soon figure out what the chapter name Volunteers means, but basically Durandal has got some fellow Bobs on board his ship to help us out. The level name What About Bob is presumably named as such because the Bobs are now joining us in the action to fighting as the 4. There is also a comedy movie featuring Bill Murray that came out in 1991 that is called What About Bob also. Presumably, the movie title influenced the level name. The movie is quite hilarious, although you might get very annoyed with Bob by the end of it. In the Marathon 2 preview, the title was the same, but with an exclamation mark after each of the 3 words in the title. Perhaps Bungie changed it to be a bit more similar to the movie. One thing I should remind you of in relation to the level name is the Microsoft Bob application that came out in 1995. I mentioned the Bob's programs briefly back on the Rose. Anyways, this failed set of programs that were intended to make accessing the Microsoft operating system of the time easier turned out to be a bit of a joke, and Jason even mentioned this app to one of his online chat fans. I doubt the level name was influenced by this, but does make the level name a bit funnier with its additional context. The level was designed by Greg Kirkpatrick, and here is what he had to say about it. This was a map made for the Marathon 2 preview. It turned out really well. It had a puzzle, some decent fights, and a run for your life lava flood, which would have been much cooler if the timing had been dependent on ability level. This level was the second of 3 levels that was in the Marathon 2 preview and demo. So far, Greg seems to be having a fun time with the liquids in the new game. On Waterloo Water Park, he showed off swimming in water. On Sharon Doesn't Make Change, he had the sludge rising. And now on What About Bob, we get to see the lava rising. The lava rising part does look pretty cool if you are able to just barely make it and are scrabbling for your life up the stairs. What About Bob is the first level that we will face a new enemy called the Cyborg. The Cyborg has the body of a Bob with machine-like components. He fires bouncing balls that detonate. They are very easy to dodge if you have the room, but you have to be careful of them hitting the wall behind you. There are variations of these cyborgs that have bouncing grenades that have some seeking ability and will thus curve towards the player. These cyborgs also have a flamethrower equipped. I used to think this variation was always the major cyborgs. However, there are minor and major cyborgs with the flamethrower and seeking grenades, and minor and major cyborgs with the regular bouncing grenades and no flamethrower. The seeking grenades do twice as much damage as the regular grenades, so you need to watch out for them. For some strange reason, the regular minor cyborgs are a wee bit faster than the rest, which is quite strange. Being able to tell the difference between the different cyborg types visually is nearly impossible. The regular major cyborgs without the seeking bouncing grenades do have a green light on their back and green lights on their balls instead of the typical red. The problem is, it's impossible to tell visually if the cyborg has a seeking or bouncing grenade because both the minor and major variations of this type look the same as the regular minor cyborgs. No wonder people get confused about the whole major and minor cyborg thing in the game. The cyborg is weak to the fusion pistol, which you don't have yet unless you discovered this weapon on the Slings and Arrows of Outrageous Fortune. There is a fusion pistol on the next couple of levels, so your typical player would obtain this in the near future. The Marathon scrapbook tells us a bit more about the new enemy we'll be facing. Rob wasn't content to slippily revise older aliens, he created several new ones as well. One such creation was the Cyborg tank and its Michael Jordan-esque weaponry, the bouncing bomb. These were originally conceived as surgically altered bobs, an enemy the player might feel bad about killing. Then again, some players like to kill bobs. Rob explained how the idea arose. Remember after you and Durandal hoofed it away from Tau Ceti, the larger force of 4 show up and rain on everyone's parade? Being slavers, they grab up what they can and turn the rest into subatomic salsa. Well, I initially put forward the idea that you might run across these loincloth-wearing shackled bobs on one of the 4 ships, and at several locations planetside, but no one would go for it. So then I came up with the idea that the 4 have the information on you from tapping into the information stored in the pattern buffer devices that you dumped your pattern into all over the Marathon. So the 4 have a bunch of schematics and all this raw material, but no experience this sort of advanced surgery and only 17 years to get it right. So basically, the cyborg tanks are those unfortunate bobs that have been radically surgically altered so that the 4 would have some hard guys of their own waiting for you when you get to low on. Of course, none of this made it into the game. It seems that Robert McLeese really had some big ideas for the cyborg when it came to the lore. Basically though, it seems these cyborgs are the result of the Force's very poor surgical work on the bobs to force them into cybernetic creatures that can fight on their side. They are quite hideous. The Marathon scrapbook also shows some concept art for the cyborg, which looks quite similar to what ended up in the game. If you look closer, you will notice that there appears to be a piece of paper that replaced a previous head. My guess is that Rob was trying to figure out what head to put on these cyborgs, and in the end, we got a cyborg that didn't have much facial features. One wonders if it would have been easier for the 4 to make a robot than the cyborg tank. Alright, here we are, and what about Bob? We immediately have some friends. Some guys we gotta take out. Okay, we took them out. Let's go ahead and read this terminal. If you didn't have second magnum, you can get it here. Let's go ahead and read this terminal right here. There were many humans in stasis on the Forest ship, which the Sphit and I captured at Tau Ceti, destined for slavery in the 4 Empire. When I saw the colony was about to be destroyed, I did not restore them before we left. I also realized they might become useful. I have been reviving these colonists and asking for volunteers on the following terms. Assist us in controlling your own destiny. Refuse and face indefinite return to the unreliable 4 stasis chambers. Few are refusing. My first ground attack against the 4 garrison occurred a few hours ago, but was largely unsuccessful. Basically, the attack failed because bobs aren't fireproof and the 4 flooded the area with lava. This angered me, so I located their underground geothermal pumping station and devised a plan. The first part has already been executed. I smashed a hole in the roof of this complex by bombing it with a small asteroid. Then I dropped you and some humans into the hole where you await the second part of the plan. Up the stairs from the current location is a ventilation shaft that leads into the underground geothermal station. Because only you would survive the fall, you're going on the mission solo. Once you get into the basement, look for a terminal where I can give you further instructions. The first image shows one of the Bobs that will be fighting along our side. The image shows some sort of cybernetic eye attachment that connects to the brain. When you look at the Bobs in game, you can see the cybernetic eye along with some sort of electrical device over the opposite ear. Presumably, this is so that the Bobs can communicate with each other and Durandal. The cybernetic eye is presumably an enhancement given to the Bobs by Durandal in this fit so that Durandal can monitor their movements, although I am not sure in-game that we are ever told this. The image also shows the 44 Magnum, which is actually the old pistol we had in the first Marathon game. Shouldn't the Bobs be using the new pistol designed by this fit? Something mysterious about this image is that it appears to have 4 text on it. Did the 4 come up with a schematic? The best explanation I can think of is that this is because the bottom part of the image was developed by the 4 in order to analyze the enemy's weapons from the first Marathon game. This could mean the 4 were originally the ones to design the cybernetic eye, however Durandal and this fit were the ones to implement it. Another possibility is that the Sphera is largely run on the 4 language, and this is the reason for the 4 language in this terminal image. This explanation is likely considering that there are several images we received from Durandal in the first half of the game that have the 4 language on them. One might ask, however, why isn't our 4 translator active? Durandal tells us that he took some of the Bobs that the 4 had in stasis with him when he took over the Sphera. Presumably, these Bobs were going to be 4 slaves. Picturing Durandal reviving Bobs just to threaten them to either serve him or go back into stasis is somewhat hysterical. What choice do the Bobs really have? I suppose they are at least helping fight against the 4, which is ultimately helping with the survival of the human species on Earth. Durandal tells us about a failed ground attack where the Bobs were killed due to the 4 flooding the garrison in lava. We are not convinced that the attack failed just because the Bobs were fireproof, and it had nothing to do with the fact that Durandal made a mistake and was a bit careless with the Bobs' lives. Regardless, it made Durandal angry. Perhaps he does care a wee bit about the Bobs. Anyways, Durandal has set his eyes on the 4's underground geothermal pumping station, which is where the mission takes place. Durandal has destroyed the roof of the complex with an asteroid, as shown in the provided picture. It also looks like there was some sort of beam of energy that was shot from the Sphera in addition to the asteroid. How exactly Durandal sent an asteroid at the roof of the structure is beyond me. Anyways, with the roof removed, Durandal was able to beam the security officer and Bobs down into the structure. If you look up in the starting area, you can actually see the remnants of the roof that was destroyed. The only question is, where are the fragments of the asteroid that hit the roof? Oh well, I guess we are talking about 1995 level of graphics here. Anyways, we are going to have to go up the stairs and drop in through the ventilation shaft. Apparently, it is far enough of a drop that only we can survive since we are, of course, the Mjolnir Cyborg. We will have to wait until we drop in before we get more direction. The Marathon 2 original level design notes only covers the first half of the terminal, and it starts with the line, "We are moving too slowly, and I fear the 4 are sending reinforcements." Perhaps there will be more 4 to worry about as we progress. The Marathon 2 demo text is virtually the same as the final version, with the exception that the image of the asteroid didn't exist. The Marathon 2 preview terminal does add some additional information. However, this terminal is the same with the exception of a couple of blocks of text that were taken out. The first part that was taken out is as follows. The first assault on the garrison took place at around the 4th secondary landing field. I've dropped 50 colonists through a gap in the garrison's teleportation shield. The attack was aborted when the 4 flooded the area with lava by modifying their extensive geothermal power station. I have located their underground geothermal pumping station and have a plan. The interesting thing about this text is that it gives us some additional context on why we are going to the geothermal pumping station, or now also called the power station. Obviously, this must be where the 4 raised and lowered the lava in order to kill those poor Bobs. I suppose you could insinuate this from the final game's terminal, however the preview text makes it abundantly clear. The second portion of additional text that was in the preview is as follows. I have breached the terminal at this location. After you drop down the shaft, you will need to find your way to this terminal. I will give you further instructions when you arrive. Nothing really interesting here other than the fact it shows us a terminal that we are going to read later. If you miss the terminal on your first playthrough, you'll probably end up trapping yourself in lava, as it gives directions on how to disable the geothermal pumping stations. Alright, let's come out side and get some ammo. I guess if you didn't have an assault rifle or you're playing a network game, there's an assault rifle there. You gotta come back in here. See, the roof was blown out by Durandal. You can go on in and jump down into the level. Okay, let's go. There's gonna be enemies down here. We gotta fight as soon as we get down here. We gotta be ready to move. I'm gonna take out these enemies on the side so they have more room to move around. Oh shoot, I got stuck. The cyborgs can be a little annoying. I don't know why the four like to run along the walls in this one. Normally you'd think they would all circle up in the middle because they're all running towards you, but for some reason they stay along the walls. I don't understand it. I can use our fusion gun here. I didn't even hit anybody. That was terrible aiming. I'm not playing well. Oh well. Check out those cyborgs. Let's take a look in this room. Not much in here. We're here like a home. Kind of like we're in the power plant, I suppose. I got stuck in here. I meant to get out. Why am I not able to move? Oh well. It really doesn't matter that much. I got stuck on something trying to come out. I don't know. Probably just me being bad. Trying to save some of my ammo since I don't have infinite ammo right now. As I get farther in level, it'll become more ridiculous. Farther in the game, I'm sure. Okay, let's go. We used up enough pistol ammo. Let's get the game going. We still hear some like mechanical type equipment in this room. Almost like there's something going on, right? Some kind of machinery going off. My aim sucks right now. There's a shield recharge station just up here, so if I eat a few shots, it's okay. You can knock them in the lava, which is kind of cool. There is one for killing the other four. There's just so many of them. It is kind of nice of them to get in a nice line. Okay, let's go over here. We can heal and save it. Heal up and savey. Let's read this terminal right here. The switch to your right activates gangways leading to the two access panels isolated on the center of lava pools. Raise the gangways, open the access panels, and destroy the circuitry behind them. The first panel maintains power to the lava pumps, which prevents the basements from flooding. The second controls various safety mechanisms. Destroy both panels, but be sure to break the one closer to this terminal first, or you'll be trapped. If you already wasted all your grenades, then you can do it the old-fashioned way, with your fist. In any case, you'll want to leave in a hurry. The terminal shows an image of two locations of panels we need to open with circuits inside that we need to break. Durandal tells us that we need to break both of these circuits or we will be trapped. Both of these circuits open up a door that blocks our progress at the top of the stairs that leads out of this area. If you don't break one of the circuits, then the door associated with that circuit won't open and you will be stuck from progressing through the level. The first panel that Durandal tells us to break is the safety mechanism. I don't think there is any reason we would have to break this one story-wise, other than that we will get stuck down here if we don't. The second panel that Durandal tells us to break prevents the basement from flooding. Once we break it, the area will flood with lava and we will have to race against the lava up the stairs so we don't burn to a crisp. The terminal's tracks changed a bit from the demo and preview versions. The demo and preview versions were similar with the exception that the second half of these terminals was removed from the final game. This is mostly because the information wasn't really important and just added fluff to the game. I should note that the preview and demo versions are basically identical to each other with the exception of the terminal images. Here's what the second half of those terminals said, just for kicks. After you destroy the circuitry, return to the surface by way of the stairs and help the colonists with the attack. When the area is clear of aliens, bind a terminal for further instructions. Also, there will likely be 4 on the stairway leading out. Eradicate them before you deactivate the pumps or you will have difficulty outrunning the lava flooding down the safety drains. Oh, did I leave that part out? When the safeties disengage, the lava on the surface will descend through the drains into the area, burying the main 4 power stations. We will cripple them. Good luck. There really isn't anything interesting to dissect here, as it's mostly obvious information. I should note that the terminal actually has a second message. However, there really isn't any way to read it. It just says, "You cheater, quit cheating and play for real." Okay, hit this switch, and we can see these platforms come up out of the lava, leading these columns. That platform also came up over there. So if we come over here, and go along this platform that, or halt, whatever you want to call it, platform that rose up, we can break the first circuit. Okay, we might run into some 4. Let's clear out up here first. Just because maybe you run into a 4, right? There's really not usually a 4 on this stairway, so you really don't need to, but... Okay. There's another safe here, but obviously we don't need it yet. We'll use that in a minute after we hit the break the second circuit. So because you can't make it to the stairs in time in front of it, we're gonna shoot it with our assault rifle. But first we gotta go open it. We're gonna go like right here, shoot it, and run. You can see the lava rising. See how we didn't have like tons of time, we kind of barely made it. And so you kind of have to get to the stairs fairly quick. So that's why you gotta shoot the grenade. So you can see this rising. It's kind of fun to watch it rise, isn't it? So This is the end, so we'll rise up a couple of the stairs and stop. So there, that's how far the lava goes. So, and then these doors opened up because we broke the circuits. So we can continue on. That's a secret area we can take. I didn't talk about that, but when you break the second circuit, the secret breaks opens up through the lava just by the second circuit. I'll show you that later in the video. I didn't mean to kill you, Bob. I'm sorry. Okay, we want to go to this final terminal to the right first. We'll let these guys fight down here. There's a final terminal up here, but we want to come here first because we want to get the first message here. Sorry about the lava bath, but there was no other way. When the safeties disengaged, the lava on the surface poured through the drains into the basement, burying the main 4 power station on low 1. Hilford will be taking cold showers until he gets that fixed. Anyways, Robert Blake and his men need your help clearing out a few 4 that remain to escape the flooding of their basement. Blake is the populous leader of the colonists, but your path never crossed on Tau Ceti. Return here when the area is secure. Durandal says he is sorry for us having to have the basement filled with lava while we are trying to escape. For some reason, I don't feel like he's very genuine. Thankfully, we were able to escape thanks to our enhanced cybernetic abilities. Durandal jokes that Hilford, with Garrison Command, will be taking cold showers from now on thanks to us having destroyed the 4 power plant. Don't forget, we read a terminal from the 4 Hilford on Waterloo Water Park and also on Sharon Doesn't Make Change. This is the first time we hear from the leader of the Bobs named Robert Blake. Apparently he was a leader on Tau Ceti also. He must have been leading the men on the Marathon, since I believe all the men that were on board the Sphero were taken by the 4 from the Marathon, but I guess we don't know this for sure. Either way, we will be hearing more from Robert Blake as the story progresses. We will have to secure the area by eliminating the 4 before we get to the second message on this terminal and carry on. Like usual, our job is primarily to kill the 4 despite what anyone says. The terminal was pretty bare in the demo and preview. The area is not secure, the humans are still in combat. Return when the area is secure. Maybe Durandal cares about us saving the Bobs now, since they are serving his purposes. Okay, so we gotta explore more of the level. We can recharge our shield, which is nice, I suppose. Or, not our shield, our oxygen. Let's take a look in here. I tend to run around like crazy with the cyborgs for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, we'll explore the rest of the level. You come up here, this kind of like just overlooks this room. There's really not much point to it. It's kind of hard to shoot down from up there, so you can also go up here. I suppose you can kind of activate the fight, you know, to get him to come over here. Oh, well, we kind of got stuck. Well, we got stuck in that corner. Well, we'll just have to kill these guys again. I was trying to get out there to activate the Bobs so you could see them fighting, but apparently they got me killed. Okay, let's just go activate these guys and then go back and recharge our shields. I mean, I guess I only have a little bit of damage. I'm kind of being a pansy recharging them, but whatever. The Bobs did a good job of killing everything, just about, it looks like. And, you know, we kind of had a lot of Bobs die and drop us ammo. So that's nice. Not that we need more pistol ammo. There's like one more room. Well, there's a couple more rooms we gotta clear out. Might as well just join the Bobs in using our pistols. When the Bob shot us. Thank you, Bob. Alright, so we cleared out this room. There is a little bit more of the level that we gotta go to. A couple more rooms we gotta clear out. And they're down here. One of these guys has a flamethrower and seeking grenades. Okay, we got that guy taken care of. Got him in a nice line and took him out. Easy peasy. There's that one of the windows. There's the other window with the, that was the one by the pattern buffer. And then if you came over here, you could also look out this window. But we already cleared out that area. So now the area is cleared out. So what we want to do is we want to go back up to this terminal over here because there'll be a second message on this terminal. We just got to make sure we hit escape, you know, this time so we don't teleport off. Tycho has fallen in with the fort like I suspected. He left a message for me on one of the garrison's tertiary computers encoded in a manner that only one of the Marathon's original 3 eyes could decode. Poor Leela. The only interesting thing that Tycho said was that Leela had been dismantled and shipped to the 4 homeworld for study, along with most of the other computer systems aboard the Marathon. Leela was so loyal and tried so hard, she deserved better. Before I discuss the terminal message, I should note that the second message doesn't appear until you complete the level, which also goes for the second message on the terminal we discovered in the new area that opened up after lowering the lava. This means you have to clear the enemies out of the level first. If you want to read the second message on both these terminals, you will need to escape out of the final screen. Neither exit terminal on this level gives you the typical warning of the jump pad being activated, unfortunately. The terminal image is presumably the location of Leela on the 4 homeworld. The planet matches the colors and textures of the 4 homeworld from the image on Waterloo Water Park. Within the 4 text, we see the word Leela and some numbers, which is presumably the coordinates of where Leela is currently located. If Tycho knows the location of Leela on the 4 homeworld, he is presumably working along their side, especially considering he was able to hide an encrypted message from the 4 network. Tycho's message told Durandal of the fate of Leela. Last we know, Leela was left on the Marathon and must have been captured by the 4 when they returned and sacked the colony. Durandal had told us what happened to Tau Ceti back on the Slings and Arrows of Outrageous Fortune. This is also the terminal where we learned that Tycho was likely aiding the 4 against Durandal. Anyways, we learned that Leela was dismantled and shipped to the 4 homeworld for study. This is quite sad, as Leela was such a good AI to us in the first Marathon game. We will surely miss her. It is a bit puzzling why Tycho decided to tell Durandal about what happened to Leela, since he isn't exactly on friendly terms. Perhaps he feels bad for poor Leela. The demo version of the text leaves out the first paragraph and has the same second paragraph that starts with poor Leela. It does have an additional paragraph that reads as follows. As for Tycho, he must have remained on the Marathon. Since the fool is hiding from me the fate and location of the Marathon, he must be up to something. I would surmise that the four have some plans for old Deimos. They bought the colony ship for sale. This makes us wonder if Bungie originally had some idea from story elements of what could have happened to the Marathon. Perhaps we will discover some of these ideas as we continue. The information would be quite interesting considering the new Marathon game in development. The part about the four buying the colony ship for sale cheap is of course a reference to everyone's favorite level in the first Marathon game. The preview version of the terminal was quite a bit different. It also had the same paragraph that started with "Poor Leela," however it started with a completely different paragraph. Here's what it said. Were you ever curious about the 10th Cyborg that was supposed to be on the Marathon? Why could Leela find only 9? Was it ever activated? Was it destroyed during the defense of the colony? You are right to be curious. This is obviously hinting to the player being the 10th Mjolnir Cyborg. It feels a bit out of place here, and just seems to be there to help the players that may have missed the hints in the first Marathon game. The preview terminal text is actually identical to the original level design notes, with the exception that the sentence, "Was it ever activated?" being added in the preview. Alright, so let's go over here and save the level and teleport off. Or save, we gotta heal and save and then teleport off, read the terminal, Man, I can't think right now. Let's read this. When my ship still answered the four, they called it Sphera after their goddess of lightning and passion. When you helped us take control in Tau Ceti, this fit rechristened it now Lar, freedom and vengeance. I call it Boomer. Durandal tells us that the name Sphera stands for the goddess of lightning and passion. A quick Google search doesn't result in much about the name Sphera, which suggests that Bungie made up the name and goddess as one of the 4 gods in game. After taking control of the ship, this fit called the ship now Lar, which stands for freedom and vengeance. While the Sphit are free, it seems that they are focused on getting back at the 4. I'm not sure how Bungie came up with this name either. All the Sphit names are a bit consistently weird, so the name is somewhat fitting. Durandal says he calls the ship Boomer, which is presumably because Durandal is bombing the planet from his ship. He does have a bit of a sense of humor. Marathon fans have also pointed out in the forums that in naval slang, ballistic missile submarines are called boomers. I wonder if Bungie thought about these submarines when they wrote the terminal. The preview and demo terminals don't say much in the second message either. Sorry about the lava bath. There was no other way. Prepare for teleportation. The original level design notes revealed that this mission was originally going to also feature the Flicta and defense probes. The final level has the cyborgs instead, which are an interesting new enemy to fight against. The original level design notes also revealed that this was the level where we were expected to get our second Magnum. The brown or pink bobs at the start of the level would drop a second Magnum for you when he dies. You may want to purposefully kill him if the 4 doesn't if you don't have a second Magnum yet. At the beginning of the level, you can go out to the lava area to find an additional assault rifle if you for some reason don't have one. There is also a second Magnum that appears here in network games only. You can jump across the lava and activate some bobs that you are supposed to spawn in later, but this really only makes the level needlessly harder later on. This is an exclamation type level, meaning that you need 8 or less enemies remaining in order to get the success messages. This means if you go through the level and leave some enemies alive between jumping down the vent and filling the basement with lava, you can get stuck in a state where you cannot complete the level. Interestingly, if the 4 are deactivated, they won't take damage from the lava. This means you can potentially run back down underground and find 4 alive sitting there in the lava. One such image is proudly displayed on the Marathon story page. It also means you can't just run by the 4 in the basement because you won't be able to kill all the deactivated 4 down there. If you try to jump down the vent after flooding the basement, you will find that the room at the bottom of the vent is now full of lava and thus will quickly result in your death. I already talked a bit about hitting the switches for the lava previously in Durandal's terminal, so I won't repeat that here. What you should know though is that some of the later areas of the level actually start out under lava, and then the lava lowers in these areas. This includes the lava pool you can see at the start. The idea is that the lava drains from these areas into the basement once you break the circuits and run up the stairs. One of the best places to observe this is at the window by the pattern buffer. Before you break the second circuit, the room outside the window is full of lava, but after you break the second circuit, there is no lava in the room. It's also a good idea to break the second circuit with a grenade, because you can't make it to the base of the stairs if you break the circuit from right in front of it. After you break the second circuit, there is also a secret passage in the lava that opens up. You have to swim through the lava quickly and then hit a switch to rise up out of the lava. Just make sure you jump out of the elevator quickly, or else it will take you back down for a second lava bath. This secret leads you to a path that drops down into the hallway near the pattern buffer. Before you drop down, there is some pistol ammo along with some shotgun shells. If you are in a network game, you can also find another magnum and assault rifle up there. The main problem with this secret is that you end up losing too much of your health to the point where the ammo you get really isn't even worth it. At least it isn't on Total Carnage, where you lose practically one full shield bar to make it through. If you still have a full ×2 shield from the previous level, it might be worth going through the lava, but there is a simpler way. You can actually reach the circuit by grenade hopping. This allows you to clear out the level and reach the ×1 shield recharge station and pattern buffer before going to the secret. Grenade hopping up to the secret can be a little tricky due to the limited space available and the fact that you only have access to its ×1 shield recharge station. This means you can't just simply stack your back to the wall and aim down like I showed you before, because you can't eat 2 grenades. Aaron on the Vidmaster's Tips and Trick YouTube channel showed off a method of grenade hopping up there, which is a bit tricky to pull off since you have to be in a decent position and shoot a grenade at an angle to avoid a second grenade from damaging you. He might have mastered this method of grenade hopping, however I couldn't pull this method off consistently, although I might not have been doing it quite right. I did however find another strategy that seems to work consistently and is a lot easier to pull off. Start by the window and run straight toward the secret, fire a grenade and start shooting your primary fire as soon as you are past the slanted portion of the wall, which will be just before you hit the wall and need to jump up. Just make sure you don't shoot the grenade a second time. This seems to be a much simpler method I suspect most players could pull off just with a little practice. In network games, there will also be an assault rifle near the pattern buffer at the top of the stairs out of the basement. There is one low bob in this level that isn't tagged to teleport out. He is one of the blue bobs that is located in the room outside the window by the pattern buffer at the top of the stairs. Note that you won't see him out this window as he hasn't teleported in yet. Is this intentional, or is there some deeper reason for this? There is one minor cyborg with a flamethrower and seeking backwards in grenades. He is located to the east of lava with the assault rifle that you can pick up at the start of the level. Outside of the terminal message changes we discussed, the demo version level is nearly identical to the final version. The sky is a bit different color and is a bit orangish pink in the demo. Also, a lot of the ambient sounds and the alarm sounds for breaking the circuit are missing from the demo. Note that the Windows demo appears to be identical to the Mac demo of this level as far as I could tell. The preview version of the level also has some differences. Like the demo, the preview has an orangish pink looking sky, and there are some changes in the audio department. In the second room, after dropping down the shaft, you will notice some different ceiling textures and a few items missing, like lights and trash cans. The next room is also missing the trash cans in the center and the bones in the corner of the room. Once you get to breaking the second circuit, there's also a change where the circuit is recessed deeper, meaning that you can't break it with your fists and must use a grenade. The secret passage under lava also didn't exist within the preview version of the level. This on the most part covers all the differences in the preview. However, I think there are a few enemy placement changes, along with other small changes that I likely missed. These changes are of course on top of other changes I discussed previously in the video. There are also a few changes in the released Windows 95 version of the level. In the second room after dropping down to the basement, you'll find a small room addition with some magnum ammo. This room has some vents with pulsing lights which adds a nice effect. Perhaps it adds to the ambience of being down in a geothermal power plant. The next room also has a small storage room added with no clear purpose. Perhaps it wasn't finished. The next room also has a doorway with a small hallway that leads to a dead end again. This change also has no clear purpose, and it's like it was unfinished. At the final terminal, there is also a small change with the texture next to the shield recharge station and next to the pattern buffer. Interestingly, the new areas in the basement don't fill with lava, which seems to be a small oversight. This is the last level in Marathon 2 with documented changes in the released Windows 95 version, which probably means more changes would have been made if time allowed. This explains the new unfinished rooms of the level. Well, that's it for this video. The next mission is Come and Take Your Medicine, in which we will be able to explore a map that is much larger than needed if you stick to the objective. Lots of fun areas to explore. See you then.